Well, shit. Uh, sorry about that scuffed intro there, guys. I moved over to OBS, but my Stream Deck for some reason is still wanting to act like it's on the podcast thing. So, um, let me just do this here. I think this will. There, yeah, we'll get. Okay, I think I've got it lined out now. Hopefully, I'll stay on the right freaking profile for my Stream Deck. All right. Anyway, scuffed intro, wrong music, the whole kit and caboodle this morning. Doesn't matter. We're going to get into it. We're going to have some. I guess we'll have some fun or whatever, right? Morning, everybody. Um, Swinky Orc. Thank you for tuning in from all the way from Zealand. I thank you so much. I appreciate that. You didn't miss no squatching. You haven't missed anything because I haven't even started anything yet. Mm. Um. So big fan of your slur. Oh, I assume you're talking about my southern drawl. Um. Uh. Anyway. Let me get a few things here lined out. What in the world is going on here? Okay. Um. I needed the extra 5 minutes with my pillow. That's cool. That's cool. Sometimes you just got to have that little extra, just hit that snooze button. I totally understand. Um, so I was talking with my people this morning, and we got some things we're going to go over this morning that um is I guess it's Salvo related, but we also have got some Edwin stuff we're going to cover. But um I'm just kind of let you guys know I'm really over the whole Sabo thing. Um, you know, there is people in the community that have clamored for Sabo to be held accountable, right? For Sabo to be to be taken to task for some of the things and stuff that he's done. I think Sabo's behavior and his actions have been talked about at nauseum at this point. Um, I uh, he is totally embracing everything that's being discussed. Um, there is no shame or any type of remorse there for any of his actions or behavior, which is fine. I mean, I'm not judging him on that. I mean, if consensual adults want to do consensually adult things, then consensually do those things. I really don't care. It's a non sequitur for me. But I'll just say this, and I think I've stated this before, and if not, I'm stating it here now. Um, Whether or not if Salvo has any type of future on YouTube or any other social media platform for that matter, is totally dependent upon the consumers of the content. Okay. So if um if you guys don't want him to come back, if you don't want him to thrive, if you don't want him to, then it's up to the viewers. Quite frankly, don't watch his content, don't engage with his social media platforms. Um, you know, just don't support. It's kind of like this, it's like a fire. If the fire has to have three things to survive. It has to have a heat source. That's Salvo. It has to have combustible material. Okay, that's the people that he interacts with. And lastly, it has to have oxygen. That's the viewers. So if the viewers are not there, then the fire smothers out and dies because it can't get any air to breathe. Okay. So I'm just telling you, as far as me and this channel, unless something really, really major happens, I'm not talking about him anymore. Past today, we're going to cover what little bit left there is to, and all it is really, quite honestly, is a little bit of a recap of some things that we already know. We're going to put some pins and stuff, and we're going to put pins in it, whatever you want to call it, and we're going to move on, guys. It's just that simple. I had a very, at least for me anyway, um, informative conversation with some people that are um, avid Red Bar fans. I wanted to get, I wanted to get some because I don't consume that content. I am aware of the man, but I just in that community, but I just don't consume it. It's not something that is. I've tried watching some of his shows. I've tried it, but it just wasn't for me. Now that doesn't mean there's anything wrong with it. I'm just saying it's just not for me. Um, but there's been this thing, this idea passed around saying how that this whole quote doxing or not doxing, depending on what your perspectives are, uh, all originated, this ideology, whatever about it, originated from Red Bar. And I wanted to get um, some views from people that I trust, or not necessarily trust, I guess I'll put it, but because I don't want to give a whole lot of information about everything, but other than just say this is what they said. Red Bar's perspective on doxing is this. If you have a public Facebook page, right? You're on Facebook, or you're on Instagram, or some other social media like that, right? And you're posting pictures of yourself, you're posting pictures of your family, you're doing the normal everyday like what a lot of people do, right? And you befriend somebody or what have you on the internet, and you guys have a falling out, and all of a sudden they start going and taking those pictures and posting them out or whatever, and reveal what your face looks like. Because here's the thing: when you're on Instagram or you're on Facebook, whatever, right? You have one way, but when you go on the internet, let's say you have a whole different attitude, right? Because you have like on Twitter, like you're on Twitter or something, right? And you don't reveal who you are, you don't reveal your face or anything like that, right? And so you will have a certain um you know boldness about you, right? Because you have this quote anonymity, and so you act and behave a certain way, and you have a run in with somebody, whatever. Okay. And they find your Facebook page or your Instagram page, and all of a sudden they start posting your face and stuff out there, right? And you start whining and complaining, oh, that's toxic, that's toxic, whatever, right? My understanding, the way that my takeaway from that was, Red Bar's stance is, oh, boo hoo. You had some public pictures of yourself that was released, and you were tied to these actions or behavior, whatever, over here on Twitter. Get over yourself. Okay. Now, um, is that, um, is that doxing? I guess in the very I mean, if you tight narrative or whatever, yeah, that's doxing. But on the other hand, another way to look at it is when you're on Twitter, maybe don't be such an asshole. Just a thought. Just a thought. Now, the problem with that, and the problem with putting forth ideologies like that, right, is those ideologies can become bastardized, right? They can morph. They get a life of their own, if you will, right? And the problem was and is there were actors within this SNT and stuff that was very malicious and was going after and doing things like that for the sole purpose of attacking people that they didn't like. Right? It wasn't that the people were necessarily being assholes online and were asking for these things. They just did it with malicious intent. They did it for the sole purpose of causing harm and causing chaos and disruption in people's lives. Okay. That's problematic for me. Okay. I kind of touched on this in my show yesterday, and I'm touching again first thing this morning because I really, really want to drive this point home, especially to people that are coming in here morning after morning and they're listening to these podcasts and stuff, right? Yeah, we love to have fun here. We love to laugh at people's, silliness and so forth, right? Too, but I also want to try to help people make good decisions in their lives so that they don't make mistakes that causes them to stumble and causes them potentially to be less successful or the very best versions of themselves, right? I want to try to help people become the best versions of themselves, and sometimes that comes through a little bit of criticism and some little corrective criticism and a little bit of laughing and stuff. But I don't want it to ever be a situation where we're just bullying someone or we're just being malicious about it. And that's why, like a lot of the reason why I'm just kind of really tired of this whole topic and the whole subject with Salvo and that whole thing, right? But like I said, we're going to put a few pins in things this morning, then we're going to move on. There's lots of other things out there to talk about, and we're going to do that. Um, but these people that are being very malicious about this stuff, um, we have to not engage with these people. Um, we have to shut this down and not engage and don't. Again, it's the same scenario about the example I gave with a fire. If you do not give it life or air, right, it can't breathe, it can't grow, it will smother out, it will die, it will go away, right? um if we keep talking about it, if we keep allowing and discussing it on our streams and discussing it on our shows and things of that nature, that's giving it air. We have to stop it. We have to stop giving it air. And I guess that's really what I'm kind of trying to say. Um, let's see, is there anybody in? Let's see, kind of what here before I get into this because I was accused of not paying attention. I got a little bit of a tongue lashing last night for not. Uh, let's see here. Oh, I see Dave's in there. Welcome in, Dave. Hopefully we'll be doing a show tonight. I hope you're feeling better, my buddy. I know you got a little R&R time watching Letterkenny. Letterkenny, by the way, guys, if you're not familiar with that show, Letterkenny, I highly, highly recommend it. It's on Hulu. They have all the seasons. I think we're up to like season 10, I think it is now. Don't quote me on that. But they're like little 30-minute shows. They're really funny. It's about some people that live in Canada. Go check them out. Great show. Um, let's see here. D-Max says, yeah, let the fire burn out. Spectre says, morning, people. Morning, Spectre. I hope you're doing well this morning. Uh, Paul Prince says, hit the like. Yeah, let's do the YouTube thing. Sure. I've really appreciated the growth, but if you're new and you haven't subbed yet, if you know, want to sub, please do hit the like button, share it out after the stream, all that kind of good, stuff. I appreciate that. Huggy Bear, good morning. How are you this morning, buddy? Van Luke, hey, I've caught a couple of, I haven't caught any of your streams yet, but I've seen some of your sound bites and stuff, clips and what have you. I've kind of got you on my Rolodex now to kind of start maybe trying to catch some of your streams, but I think you're one of those late night streamers, and I'm old and I go to bed early. So, but I will try to start watching some of your stuff of a morning while I'm working. Um, let's see here. Oh, I see Abby's in there. Hey, Abby, welcome in, hon. And who has Mr. Gamer? And am I missing anybody? Because I don't want to miss anybody. Zali, hey Zali, how you doing, hon? I hope you're doing great. And I think I'm about caught up. Slummy, there's Slumsy. Good morning. John Bon Zombie. Yeah, okay. Trippy Savage. Okay, I think I got everybody. Hopefully, I was a little more attentive to the chat this morning, because I did kind of get a little tongue lashing about it. But I've explained if I really start engaging too much with chat, my brain goes haywire on me and I can't focus. So let's just get into the stuff. So Keemstar did a show last night, right? And so in this show, there's several different things. One of the things that he talks about right off the bat was this harassment campaign that Salvo, and he himself, but let me just do this. Let's Keem speak for himself.
Chris the Narc has been really harassed by Salvo. Now, I, for one, have bullied the shit out of Chris, all right? Because he deserves it. He's a fucking idiot, right? Salvo has really been taking this way too far. Who's been doxing him. Nicholas Diorio came out with a screenshot.
Okay, so let me just pause right quick. Let me bring this up. This is the screenshot that he's talking about. We talked about this previously. I just want to reiterate the difference between busting balls and really being malicious. Salvo says, yo, what are the banned words on Twitch? He's sending this to Nicholas Diorio. Diorio goes over what you cannot say within Twitch. Salvo comes back, says, thanks. Not streaming on there. I'm just curious. Was having a disagreement with one and going to call into Chris the Narc's, stream and getting banned. And Nick says, you're an asshole. Okay. So that's what Keem's talking there. So I just want to bring that up for reference.
Conversation between Salvo and Nick where he's asking Nick, what kind of words can you say on Twitch that'll get you banned? And Nick is like, well, if you say this slur, that slur, whatever, you'll get banned on Twitch. And then Salvo replies, good, because I'm going to call into Chris and say these words on his stream to get him banned. I mean, this is some fucking evil shit. Yep. And Salvo can say on these multiple live streams, well, did I do it? Did I do it? Because it never happened. But
here's the reason why it didn't happen, okay? Because Nicholas Diorio reached out to Chris the Narc before Salvo could implement his plan, because Chris was streaming at the time. Because Chris has been streaming more on Twitch because he's trying to get his numbers up to where they have to be. So he's currently a affiliate, but he's wanting to become partnered with them, right? He let him know what Salvo had done, had called in or had DM'd him or whatever, let him know what it was. And because Chris told me this himself, we had a conversation about this. Shortly thereafter, his phone, Salvo starts trying to call him and get and Chris just ignored him, did not give him the opportunity. Now, one could argue that Salvo may not have done it. It's possible. My personal opinion, highly, highly probable that he would have done it.
Reason why it didn't happen is because Nick tells Chris that this is going to happen. And when Salvo tries to call Chris while he's on his Twitch stream, Chris knows what's going to happen, so he doesn't answer the phone. And that is the only reason why it didn't happen.
Yeah.
It goes as far with the harassment to Chris that this happens today. Salvo comes back to the internet, does an interview, and has this to say about Chris, people.
You said a lot on this interview.
Swatting Chris. I'm swatting Chris the narc.
Oh, okay. Well, actually, that is also cool and fun. And I'd like to see that.
I disavow. That's not cool.
I don't know if you guys heard that, so let's back it up a little bit.
You said a lot on this interview.
Swatting Chris. I'm swatting Chris the narc.
He says he's going to swat him now. I mean, it wasn't that long ago that Keemstar himself was able to get in contact with a guy that swatted somebody and was actually able to help law enforcement catch the guy because he had this guy swatted and the guy got killed because of the SWAT. And the guy that did the swatting, he faced the charges, went to court, all that, and he's in prison because of those actions. That is not, and again, is it something that is he just blowing hot air? I don't know. Is it something that could happen? I think because of the actions and stuff that we've seen out of him, I think it's very well possible. I hope that Chris is being very preemptive here and that he is contacting his local law enforcement and having a very long, very open, frank, honest conversation about this. And here's the thing too. When Salvo has got some really rabid fans that when he puts something like that out there, irregardless if he himself does or doesn't do it, his fans will take and run with it because they're sycophants. That's hang on here. Oh, okay. 8 to 9. Okay. So that was Dave sending me a little text message out. He probably sent it to me earlier, just now coming through because I have crappy cell service here. There will be we will be having a stream tonight, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. It will be Friday night with Bo Blacks over on Dead on Dave. So make sure you set your that you're subbed and got your alerts on over there. Watch his Twitter, my Twitter, and we'll get it up and going. But anyway, back to this. This is so dangerous. This is so and I feel God, I just feel horrible. I feel horrible. It just really irks me. So we're going to go on past that because that really bothers me, and I don't really want to talk about that much more. We're going to step over, and of course he also during this. And by the way, if you haven't watched the Keemstar show, I do encourage you to go watch the VOD if you didn't catch it live. It's up on his channel. It's about 4 hours long. He does an interview with Babs. I'm not going to discuss that. We're not going to cover that. I really don't think there was any revelations there. Because if you've been watching, anybody that's been covering this story, be it Tommy C, be it, Dead on Dave, and others. Babs has been in the chat and she has been very vocal about what happened. But she does actually get to use her own voice and her own words to tell it. So if you want to hear that, by all means, go check it out. But this next section I want to cover is when Paige Christie calls in and she has a conversation with Babs. And I think it's something important um, for us to hear, because I did like some of the questions that Paige Christie asks.
Okay.
Oh, am I loud?
No, you're good. You're fine. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Hi, everyone. How are we all doing?
Good. How are you,
Good.
dear?
I'm good. I thought I'd come in since we had a fake a little bit earlier. So
Yes. Thank God.
here
you
I
came
am.
in.
Here I am. I just basically wanted to come in and have a quick conversation about Edwin, but mainly I want to have a quick conversation with Babs,
Good.
Okay.
if that's okay.
Go for it.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I'll let you talk to Babs
Okay.
Need
first. Go
some
ahead,
love.
Babs.
Okay, Babs. I heard your story. Again, I just want to say that I believe you at the very least. I don't think you have anything to gain. I think you have more than enough to lose by telling your story rather than telling the world what's been going on with you and this whole situation. So I believe you. I believe you wholeheartedly.
Oh, thank you, darling.
What I do want to say is I think that people in chat may not understand, and I know that the kind of fucking audience it is that I'm talking to right now. I think there's a lot of people in chat who don't understand that there is consent, there is informed consent, and there is coercive consent. So if somebody has to ask you multiple times whether you consent to something, then that is not consent.
And the thing is, it's not me that said that. It was Edwin and Salvo that said that they asked me a million times. Both of them said that. Like, that was
So
their words.
from your point
Okay, for those who may not know, what she's talking about there is specifically is the ride when Edwin and Salvo and Babs was heading back to Ohio from Keem's house that evening or the next day, from when they were all on their on the quote reunion, what they called the reunion episode, right? That's what she's talking about is the ride home and the constant questioning Babs of consent. That's what Christie is referring to here.
So from your point of view, did you get asked more than one time for your
Yes.
consent for anything?
No, they were telling the truth. They asked me like a million times.
Right. And at what point did you decide, okay, fuck it, yeah, I'm going to say yes?
Well, I mean, when people are like that, they'll ask for your consent, and then they'll make like lighthearted jokes, and then they'll flirt a little bit more, and then they'll ask
Yeah.
again, and if you're okay, shit like that. But and like I was drunk, like they were drunk,
Okay, hang on.
consensual.
I have to retract what I just said. Evidently, this was the night of the quote reunion. I had my timetable wrong. My apologies.
Still,
So with you being drunk at that time, my question to you is, do you feel like that was informed consent? Do you feel like you were able to consent properly? Do you think you were at capacity to consent?
Yes, I feel like I was sober enough to consent. Would I have made that decision sober? No, but I still did not consent, if you know what I mean.
You see what I mean? It's just like so gray. It's
a
so
gray
it's
area.
like such a gray area page. And like
So let me just say this, and this is something that I got my eyes open to. I guess it's been about 6 years ago or so, something like that. I took my youngest son to college orientation, right? You take your child, you go in, they give you a tour of the campus, and then you go through all these different kinds of meetings and this, that, and else. And then the last thing they do is they usher you in to where the financial people are. They say, okay, here's what scholarships that you've got. Here's this is what you're going to have to wind up paying if you owe anything after all the scholarship stuff, right? Well, one of those things, they had separated the parents away from the students that were enrolling. The students were going doing their thing, parents were doing whatever, and they took all of us parents into a room, and we were in this room, and they had their legal counsel in there. They had the head of their police force, because this campus was large enough that it had its own campus police, and they were actual police officers. They weren't just like these, like, I guess I hate to use this word rent-a-cop, but they weren't like rent-a-cops. You know what I'm saying? These were actual law enforcement. They had jurisdiction. They could arrest. They could everything, right? They had weapons, the whole kit and caboodle. All right. And so they set us down and they start talking to us, and they're telling us how even though this was in a wet county, the campus was dry. Um, the law, the head of the police department and whatever is telling us this, and said, but as parents, we want to let you know if your child's out somewhere and they go with some people and everybody gets intoxicated and they don't have a way home, they can call us. We will come and get them, and we will ensure that your child gets back to their dorm safely. They are going to get a very stern talking to from us. You're going to get a phone call from us because we're not drunk Ubers. That's not what we're here for, but we are here to ensure the safety of your child, to get your child back home. As a parent, I was glad to hear that. I was fine with them getting a stern lecturing about, and letting us know as parents that, hey, our child was out being silly. I was fine. I was okay with that. That reassured me as a parent. I felt good about that. Then their legal counsel got up and started talking to us about Title IX. Okay. Now, some of you may not know what Title IX is. Let me explain it. Title IX is a federal law that was passed, and I don't know the exact date, but just know that it is out there and it does exist. And Title IX covers anybody and everybody that ever walks onto a college campus. Okay. So whether or not, if you're there as a parent, whether or not you're there as a guest, whether or not you're there as a student, doesn't matter. When you walk onto a campus, you're covered under Title IX. What's Title IX say in a nutshell? Title IX says that you cannot be discriminated against in any way, form, or fashion based upon your gender, your sexual identity, your religion, your anything like that, right? But it also goes on further to say that, it covers like sexual assaults and so on and so forth, right? And so basically the way that this legal counsel explained to us was this. Let's say my son and another person, right? In the case of my son, it'd be a young lady. They meet up at a party, and they both have had a few drinks, right? And they wind up having intercourse. The next morning, the girl wakes up, decides that, hey, what have I done? I would have never done this. If she so chose to go and file charges, she could against my son for sexual assault. Okay. Because under Title IX, the minute the first drop of alcohol crosses her or a person's lip, I'll just put it that way, the first sip of alcohol, that person is then deemed as not able to make a consensual decision, right? Now, here's where it gets really interesting. Now, just because a person files a Title IX sexual assault case with the university, right, it does not necessarily mean that there will be criminal charges, right? Because within, as far as criminal, the prosecuting attorney for that county or whatever could look at this situation and say, okay, these were two kids, they got drunk, they made a drunk decision. There's not enough here to warrant that or to do anything to say that this was just a bad drunken decision, and they would not do anything illegally. So it doesn't necessarily mean that either one of the persons would face criminal charges and would end up in jail or prison, right? That's not what that means. What Title IX, though, does is the university can have their own hearings, and they can deem that the person should not have done this, right? And the person that these charges are being alleged against could lose their scholarships and could be expelled from college. So one of the parents raised their hand because they had a male child, and they asked, "So you're telling me that if my son goes out and does this, and they could lose everything?" And the council was like, "Yes." They said, "Well, what if my son was the first one to get up and go do that with the girl?" And they said, "Yes." So really what all it boiled down to is whoever woke up, went to the campus police or whatever, and filed these allegations, then bam, that's the person that, quote, is, I guess, has more weight in the case, basically. That I did not want to hear. That really concerned and bothered me. And as we're driving home, I'm asking my son, did they have the same conversation with him? Yes. I said, "Son, here's my advice. I understand that college is supposed to be this time where you're supposed to grow and mature into, further as an adult and what have you. And you're supposed to have all these life experiences and stuff. My advice is don't have these life experiences. Let's stay focused on your college education, have friends and maybe do some things, but let's try to stay away from the whole party scene. Let's try to stay away from the girls and things like that right now, because that was very alarming and scaring to me, right? That a young person's career, as far as their college career and their continuing their education, could be just terminated that quick just because they have a few beers or whatever, cocktails, what have you, and make a drunken decision. So that was a little bit concerning to me. But anyway, let's get back to the conversation here between Paige Christian and Babs.
It's like
I understand it's a gray area. It's just that I don't want, like, although this conversation obviously is surrounding Babs, I don't want people to walk away from this stream and thinking, "Oh, well, I was drunk. Well, that was my fault." I don't want people to walk away thinking that. Do you get what I mean? So if that's her perspective of her timeline of events, I'm willing to respect that. But also, I don't want other people coming into the stream, watching it, and then walking away with the ideology that essentially they gave full consent when they weren't at capacity to do so. I feel like that's somewhat harmful, in my humble opinion.
I was not blackout. I was still in a right state of mind where I could make a decision. And like if I,
you made a drunk decision. I mean, that's what it is.
Yeah, we've all made drunk decisions.
Can I make a point?
Okay, so I thought that was kind of somewhat important to bring out that. But yeah, it was a drunk decision, but it was, and she is standing. She's not trying to. So to me, quite honestly, if I could, I guess to me, that gives her more weight in what happened the next day, because both Edwin and Salvo are saying, yeah, part of it happened, but this other part didn't happen. She's saying that there was an actual sexual act that Salvo started trying to do. And so to me, and in the way that, if a person's telling a truth, then their story will hold true through the whole thing, right? And they won't. So if she was trying to make this worse than what it was, right, then to me, she would allege that there was things that occurred the night before that she didn't agree to, and so on and so forth. And so she was trying to paint him in the worst possible light possible. She would do something like that. She's not. So to me, I'm with Paige on this. Her story, to me, is the more believable of the whole history, or that whole weekend, I guess, whatever you want to call it, right? Her story rings more true to me, if that makes sense. And I don't know if it does or not, but I think to me it does. This last little part, let's see here. Let me get to the timestamps here. It's like right in here. A young lady by the name of Michelle calls in, and I think
Just
this.
here to play.
And you're going off, right? And you're like,
is a munch. He is a munch. I'm just trying to also
Hang
like
on.
this is also the real PP too as
Hang on
well.
a second. That's
God,
not
like
it.
what Ethan Klein's
Okay, that's
So
not it.
genuine, and I was like, I love to hear that because, like, you know, I was like, I feel like that's how he is in real life too, and I
would have no choice but to support them myself.
whoa.
Like years in the making.
Okay,
Why are you so
right here.
happy?
Hang on, right here it
Really
is.
happy.
Oh shit.
Why are you so happy?
This has been like years in the making. I was an Edwin mod in 2020.
You wait, it
Oh,
skipped.
fuck.
It skipped.
oh shit,
You were Edwin
you
what?
got so much. Sorry.
Yeah, I was a mod of Edwin's back in 2020, but like right when you started coming around is when I left.
Because I'm a bad guy, right?
No, I actually was. I had to constantly tell people to like stop talking about your kids. Like I was
Okay.
I was not like anti you back then or anything.
All right.
I actually left because back then Edwin had made a channel to shame his viewers called Bad Chalupa.
Oh my
And I was trying to explain to him and his now ex-girlfriend Nina that, you know, shaming your viewers is not a way to keep them around and to please them. And they got me into a voice channel to talk about it. And instead of talking about it, they kind of like kept telling me I was wrong. And then they were texting about me behind my back, saying that like I was scaring them and stressing them out. Because I felt very strongly about this. Like, you don't shame your viewers.
Hold on, guys, listen. All right, I need everyone to pay attention.
So this young lady, Michelle, was a former mod back, according to her, back around, I guess, prior to 2020. So I don't know if it's like 2018, 2019, because she said she left when keemstar came into the Edwin's orbits or whatever they started, whatever, around 2020. Okay. She's alleging that Edwin had started up a channel for the sole purpose of making fun of his viewers and stuff. Now, here's the problem. And you might think, well, you might say, hey, Riv, hang on. There's no problem with that, right? Busting on, you know, cutting up with your viewers or whatever is okay and whatever and so forth. And normally I would agree with you, right? I've got viewers that I cut up with and stuff, what have you. I'm friendly with them. And I'll bust their balls a little bit or whatever, harmlessly, or whatever. The problem that I see with this is that Edwin has cultivated his brand to where he is a champion of women who have been allegedly abused, or one of them even, right? He alleged is that Sear sex trafficked her, right? Now, I'm going to be completely transparent on this. I don't know a lot of the history and lore about every little nuance about Edwin's past. I know he was, has some dealing with Sear and so forth, right? I'm not, was part of the internet community that I didn't have a whole lot of dealings with. My circle of consumption and stuff was really limited to people like Keemstar and Tommy C, Dead on Dave, Nick DiOrio, Bo Black's Augie, Colossal's Crazy, Pyrocynical, people like that, quote, more the commentary type community people, right? Leafy is here, that type of thing, right? Going back around in the 16, 17 era of YouTube, right? So I don't know all the intricacies, but what I have been able to learn and what I've been able to glean through conversations and some research is Edwin has marketed himself as this very pro woman, especially women who are, for the lack of a better word, a little broken and stuff, right? And if you're a champion of these people who have been in bad situations, whatever, and you're trying to help them, rebuild and stuff, why would you want to have a channel that is breaking them down again? I don't understand that. That doesn't pan out to me. What also didn't pan out to me, and I don't want to be this thing where I'm just kind of just shitting all over Edwin or whatever, right? But if you're, he has this thing about, like, he doesn't want certain words said because they are offensive to him, right? And there was this little clip that went around where someone had made a dono to him. I believe JFA did a dono on him, where here he said, happy birthday. And because JFA does it over when we're doing our podcast, he comes in and does these donos with these names, trying to get us to say words like Faye and then gets, right? And so we just say Auntie Faye or, whatever, Miss Faye. And so, because we're on to JFA and stuff, right? But he got trolled by JFA, and he sings happy birthday, and he says, Faye gets. And of course, you put together, what it says, right? So, and everybody kind of laughed or whatever. And the whole meme on that stuff is, like, when he would be around some of these guys, he's, they would say things that, he said, guys, you shouldn't say that, and he lectures them, right? He stuff, right? Which is fine. I mean, he's entitled to have those views and opinions or whatever, right? But the problem is that when he comes out and in some of these text messages and in some of these Discord DMs and so on and so forth that has been said, he's referring to these young ladies as cloud whores and bitches and all these things that are not, let's just call it what it is. It's not pro woman or pro, have I ever called a woman a bitch before? 100%. I've called women cunts before. If they deserve to be called a cunt, I've called them a cunt. Matter of fact, I've had my damn Twitter account suspended one time because I called a woman who was acting a cunt a cunt. All right. I'm not going to sit up here and put myself on a pedestal and say, oh, I'm this virtuous person. Okay. Because I don't want you guys, I don't have a problem with people saying words, right? I don't. There's words I don't use because I think they're very derogatory, right? And they have a very bad connotation to them, right? Certain slurs. I'll just put it that way. But and should I call a woman a bitch or should I call a woman a cunt? Probably not. But in the heat of the moment and when I'm angry about something or a topic or I'm very passionate about it, yeah, I will say something like that, right? But I'm also not out here trying to bolster myself as this pillar of virtue and this healer of broken women. Okay. So, yeah, I mean, you can't, to me, I know there's this thing that, I know there's this thing out here about how there is a quote online persona and then there is a offline persona, right? I think Nicholas said it the other day in Tommy's stream, right? The public narrative versus the private narrative, right? Okay. One thing I'll tell you, right? What you see when I'm on my streams, I do my shows here or I'm doing the podcast or whatever. If you meet me in public, you're going to get the same person. This is not a character. This is not an act that I put on. I don't necessarily even go overboard and put on a show per se, as far as over exaggerating and whatever. If I give you a response to something that we watch, if I laugh or whatever it is, that's a genuine thing. I just can't do that. I grew up with people who had masks on, right? And as a kid growing up, especially in church, where people are notorious for wearing masks, it was very confusing to me. It was confusing to how people would act one way in one situation. Mopar, thank you for the subscription there. It was very confusing to me for people to act one way in one setting, and then when you get out here and away from that setting, they acted a different way. That was very confusing to me as a child growing up, right? And as a young adult, I gained enough knowledge and understanding and wisdom to understand that two-faced, right? Masked. We changed the masks depending on the situation. And I made a promise to myself that I would not be that way. There's no masks with me. What you see is what you get. I'm old. I'm grumpy. I'm bitchy. But I am who I am. Am I loyal? Without beyond a shadow of a doubt, I'm loyal. If you're my friend, if I call you my friend, if I call you my brother, I will give you the shirt off my back and my last dollar if you need it. Okay. If you're not my friend, and I'm not going to sit there and call you my friend. I'm not going to call you my brother if that's not what our relationship is. One of the things that kind of funny history about me and my buddy Dave. You think that white hair is natural? That white hair, let me tell you something.
I can still do it, and I'll whip it out when I need to.
Okay, well, let's whip it out here. Buzzsaw tip $3 says, Edwin, we need more women in the community. Don't attack women. Also, Edwin, that bitch is insane. Don't believe that whore. I have a harem of damaged women in my Discord. Exactly, Buzzsaw. Could not have said it better. Thank you. But to address these allegations that Nick Sinax is putting forth, I promise you, this gray hair, every damn one of them were earned. You raise kids like I did. I had two boys that were hell raisers at times. They give me every one of these gray hairs. There is everything about me is there's no filters here, right? I will say there was a time I don't have a problem admitting this. I started turning gray when I was probably in my early 20s. I was single, and I just really didn't feel like gray hair was going to get me a mate. Hell, just for men and I had a relationship, y'all. No lies about it. I dyed my hair. Shit. But that was, like I say, that was back in the 90s. So the only thing that touches my hair these days is my shampoo and a towel when I get out of the shower, and that's about it. I don't use any of that with a powdered wig. Yeah, I guess, whatever. But no, thanks for joining us this morning, Nixie. Listen, I stand Nixie Nax. She's a sweetheart. She is a friend. I love her to death. She's extremely, extremely talented artist. And she has an infectious laugh. And I am truly blessed to be able to call her a friend. And I'm so glad that I got to meet her and spend time with her and getting to know her. And she's just a real good person. So anyway, what is it? Okay, it's about time to wrap things up. Listen, I don't necessarily think Edwin is not redeemable, guys, because I like Edwin. Don't misconstrue me here. I like Edwin. Edwin has caused some grief in his life right now. I think maybe Edwin allowed himself to kind of get pulled up into a whirlwind of things that he thought was fun. And I understand that. Sometimes getting something like that is attractive because it's exciting and it's these things. But I don't necessarily think Edwin is not redeemable, and I'm hoping that Edwin can repair some of the relationships with the good people that he had in and around him. I don't know if that's possible or not. It may take a lot of time to allow some for these wounds to kind of maybe heal up and stuff. I don't know. According to what Nick said in his video that he put out yesterday, I don't know if it's possible with Nick. And that may not even be something that Edwin is even interested in. I don't know. I don't know what's in Edwin's heart. But I don't like thinking that there is nobody out there that's not redeemable. I don't like that thought. I know that there are people who are not. I know that I'm not naive. I don't think you can live to be, I'm almost 55 years old. I don't think you can live this long and be naive. Maybe you can. I don't know. But I do hope that he can turn it around. I really do. But anyway, so let's wrap things up. Let's see. I know Dave is going to be on tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It will be a Bo Blacks Friday. Make sure you are checking out that. Dave streams are always a blast. Let's see if my friend Nerdy John has got something lined up this morning. Does not look like he's going to have a morning show this morning. Normally,
I can still do it, and I'll whip it out when I need to.
Oh, what are we whipping out now? Beaver McWood, $5. My only regret in life was disavowing I was a homosexual. I guess what I'm trying to say is, would you like to be gay with me, Riverter? Well, Beaver, I think I'm probably about 10 to 15% homosexual, so I don't ever say never. I find that's not a policy to have in my life, is to say, I'm never going to do this, I'm never going to do that. It always comes back to bite me in my butt. So, yeah. Okay. What are we whipping out now? Well, Van Luke, I'll tell you, hon, nothing will be, I ain't whipping out nothing. I am at a stage in my life, quite honestly. It's like I was telling somebody the other day, I'm like that old hound dog on the front porch that ain't got no teeth. I got barely any bark left at me and there ain't no bite. I am truly a safe person to be around. But anyway, yeah, Nerdy John after mine ends. His ever since I found him. I support him, and I think he's out. Check out this evening. You never know. Keemstar may actually come in and offer me a job again, and again the answer will always be no. I like Keemstar. I think Keemstar deep down has a heart of gold. I know that everyone may not believe that, but I do believe Keemstar does have a heart of gold. And I think he lets it show every once in a while. And I do see it when it happens. But before we head out this day, I've got one last little thing that we're going to watch. This was something that we covered on Dave's show the other day. And some of you may not have seen this. And if you did, and I want to signal boost this story a little bit. How many of you guys know who Afro Man is? I was going to clean my room, but I got high, right? Well, he had a little run-in with law enforcement, and they damaged his house, and he wasn't even there. Just his was a vape pen. They confiscated $4,000 worth of his money that they logged in through evidence. And here's the kicker. The search warrant for kidnapping, I think it was. They went there with his attorney to get his property back. $400 of the $4,000 that they confiscated was missing. Well, Afro Man, because he's Afro Man, made a song about it. And here's a little TikTok. It's a short and condensed version of it, but I want to share that with you as we get out here today. And that, yeah. So anyway, it's just a short little segment there. He says, "Did you have to traumatize my kids?" Yeah, because they came there in the middle of the night, on tour doing shows. And this is in Ohio, right? So, you know, I've seen D-Max said, he used to be pro police until he was arrested because he was laying out on the beach. And I remember that story. I was watching. I always watch you, D-Max. I'm still pro police. Okay. But I also believe that there are police officers undertrained or are just flat out bad actors and really don't need to be in the position of authority that law enforcement believe that police officers, much like firemen, okay, stuff. It is a job that's being another one of those professions that I believe a person has to be called to do because they are woefully underpaid. And if you don't have a heart or a passion to do that, to impact people's lives in a positive manner, and you're just there because of the benefits of the retirement, of what, and it's just a job for you, then that's what makes you a bad actor, because you will become jaded and you will become bitter, because those three professions are very highly stressful, demanding, and thankless jobs. Let's just be quite honest about it. And so it's very easy to become bitter in those. So if you're not called to do those professions, then you shouldn't be doing them. And that's what I have to say about that. Anyway, I've enjoyed our time this morning. I will see you in the morning, Saturday morning. Now, remember, on Saturdays, we back it up a little bit, right? So people can sleep in, y'all can sleep in, everybody can sleep in. I will see you tomorrow morning. We will start this up at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time tomorrow morning. And we'll see what happens tomorrow. But if you want more people and you want Dead on Dave with Bo Blacks tonight, and who knows who else will show up, because Dead on Dave's during the week of evening are really becoming a mecca for people to call in and hang out. And it's just a blast. We have a lot of fun. 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time tonight, Dead on Dave's channel. Make sure you're subscribed with notifications on. Watch his Twitter, watch my Twitter for more updates on that later on today. But until then, guys, remember, keep your powder dry and look for me in the funny papers.
You don't know what I've become. Can't you see it in my face?